Hi, everyone. Today's the day that With Love Megan comes out, and it's coinciding with this article that was published in People magazine. I want to talk about it, and I want you along with my journey going through this article. So let's do it. But before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. So this was actually published 10 a.m. Eastern Time today. And what I meant by With Love Megan comes out today, for me, it comes out in 10 hours or so, so midnight on March 4th. Yeah, so for me, this is today. This article came out today, and it's titled Meghan Markle's Most Intimate Interview in Years: Harry, the Kids, and Getting Real About Her Learning Curve. And it's an exclusive with People magazine. We know she does this all the time with People. And there's a quote from her that says, "There are tons of twists and turns. The Duchess of Sussex tells people of her journey." We know, Megan, there were lots of twists and turns. You were leaking all of this to the media. We are very well aware of your unpredictable path. The article begins: Meghan Markle sits down for an intimate conversation with People ahead of the launch of her new Netflix series. The Duchess of Sussex opened up about her life in Montecito, and she gets candid, blah, blah, blah. It's actually quite a long article, and I was reading somewhere that the print version doesn't come out till Friday, which is a little bit surprising to me that they would release this article so many days before the print version, but this might be something that People magazine does. I'm not sure. The article begins: Meghan Markle is curled up in bed with her sleeping 5-year-old son, Prince Archie, on a recent winter evening in Montecito, California. With her phone in hand, she catches up on emails finalizing details for the launch of her renamed lifestyle brand, As Ever, and her new Netflix series, With Love Meghan. Okay, so if this was happening when they knew the lifestyle brand name was As Ever, this means that this happened in the last week or two, right? So it wasn't, I mean, it was a recent winter evening, and it wasn't that long ago that this article happened. And it's strange that she's having this interview, but she's holding up, or she's holding her phone and not really focusing on it. And I feel like it's trying to highlight that she's a working mom. So I think she's trying to look like she's relatable. So this opening scene with Archie curled up next to her, I think is a calculated attempt to frame her as a busy, hands-on mom who juggles work and parenthood like any other woman. And actually, we're gonna see we're gonna see how much more she's playing into this. Okay, it says her husband, Prince Harry, is still in Vancouver wrapping up the Invictus Games. Meghan joined him for several days, during which she stayed in close touch with her mother, Doria, checking in on Archie and Lily, who had both gotten sick, making sure they were seen by the doctor and sipping bone broth. Now she's savoring this stillness at home with Archie as he stirs awake, sleepily telling her, "Mama, don't work too hard." Recalling the moment to People a few days later, the Duchess of Sussex says it was the sweetest thing. Okay, dude, so you mean to tell me this sentence that this whole thing that she said here, she mentioned all of this? Like, what did she do during her interview? "Oh my gosh, the other day I was cuddling with Prince Archie, or I was cuddling with my son in the bed, and I was catching up on emails." And it's just, I don't know, it's just a really weird way to tell a story or to start off an interview. If this was really happening during that week of the Invictus Games, that was what, February? Um, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It was what, February 7th through the 16th or something like that? So this would have been maybe February 10th and on. I may be getting the dates wrong, but we know that it was that week of Valentine's Day that this is happening. And I think she's really trying to emphasize this. Even though I've been away, even though there have been so many times I've been away, I still make sure that they're taken care of. The article continues: like any entrepreneur, Megan has tackled the hard work of launching a new business, but unlike most, she has done so under an intense spotlight. In March 2024, her initial brand name, American Riviera Orchard, debuted online. 1 month later, jars of jam with the brand's logo began circulating among pals. Then came a pause as anticipation grew Questions arose about when the products would be available, while behind the scenes she navigated trademark issues. So she released it prematurely. We all know this. She didn't have the name secured or trademarked. She prematurely made these jars of jam without checking if she could actually conduct business under this name, which we know she couldn't. It was incredibly short-sighted thing to do, and she should have assessed the risk. If you don't have the trademark in hand, you are risking that all of this that you've started to create is not going to go through and it's not going to work. The article continues, there are tons of twists and turns, even with the name. She says in her most intimate interview in years, I was figuring it out in real time. And although she has faced intense public scrutiny at every step, Megan says the experience has been defined by growth. I appreciate everyone who gave me the grace to make mistakes and figure it out, and also to be forgiving with myself through that. It's a learning curve. So here she's admitting that she hit roadblocks, and instead of addressing it as a failure, she's reframing it as a learning curve and a moment of growth, which honestly is a mature thing to do. I actually wouldn't expect Megan to admit this because I think she believes she knows everything. But the thing is, she's done this multiple times. This pattern of launch a brand, pause it, then rebrand it, she did before with the Archetypes podcast. And I believe maybe there were some other Netflix things that happened that didn't end up working out. The article continues, as Megan builds her brand, she also continues to expand her life in Montecito. 5 years have passed since she and Harry made the seismic decision to step back from their royal roles in the UK and chart their own path, but their titles remained. It's strange to me that they're emphasizing that their titles remain. So even though they've stepped back, they've still retained those those titles. And it's an interesting adjective to use here, the seismic decision. So that you can basically say that's like an earth-shattering decision. And I don't know if I don't know if this is being said in a negative way. It seems like it is, right? Because after there's a seismic shift, there would be damage and destruction, I would think. So it's interesting that this is the choice of word used here. The article continues. Meghan says the Sussex name bestowed upon her and Harry by Queen Elizabeth on their 2018 wedding day holds a deeper significance than she could have imagined before motherhood. It's our shared name as a family, and I guess I hadn't recognized how meaningful that would be to me until we had children. She says, I love that. That is something that Archie, Lily, H, and I all have together. It means a lot to me. And again, you see here, H, he doesn't, she doesn't even say his full name. It's a way, I think, of minimizing him as an extension of her. And it's basically he doesn't have a name anymore. He doesn't have an identity. He's been reduced to a single letter. So I think she's strategically reminding us of this Duchess of Sussex title and it being sentimental. It contradicts her and Harry's repeated assertions that they wanted to separate from the monarchy. The mention of how much the Sussex name means to her now, especially after it may be that the king might strip them of it. I think there may be rumblings of this currently. It feels like an attempt to justify holding on to it, even though they've had this anti royal stance. The article continues, the Sussex name, she adds, is part of our love story. Now, with her new series debuting March 4th on Netflix, she is sharing her personal passions, including cooking, hostessing, and decorating with her biggest audience yet. When your children get to a certain age, when you're not just playing in the sandbox with them, but almost playing in your own sandbox again, it's super joyful. As a woman, a mom, and a wife, to be able to find yourself again in a way that was always present, but that you maybe couldn't put as much attention on as you now can when your kids are a little bit older is a wonderful feeling. I don't know, this is word salad to me. And again, we have this narrative again of finding yourself again, like she couldn't do it before and she was so hindered before. And now, as a mom, as a woman, as a wife, she's found herself again. It seems like she's emphasizing that victim mentality. The article continues, although the couple's 2022 Netflix docuseries, The Record-Breaking Harry and Meghan, famously pulled back the curtain on their struggles within the royal family, this time there's no mention of anything royal. Harry himself makes only a fleeting appearance in the final episode, but his presence was felt behind the scenes. Okay, I'm laughing for a couple of reasons. Harry making a fleeting appearance in the final scene kind of reminds me of how Meghan and Harry only made one I mean, I didn't watch Polo, but I think they were only present in one of the scenes. So that's kind of strange. And it also doesn't surprise me that Megan wants this project to be completely about her, but she also wants to remind us that she is married to Prince Harry. She maybe wants to bring that into the mix again to make her relevant because, in my opinion, we wouldn't know her or of her if she hadn't married Prince Harry. She was number 6 on the call sheet on Suits. She already felt like she was losing her, um, her presence. I think she wasn't getting any offers for new jobs at that time. So actually in 2016, according to Tom Bower's Revenge, she was a little bit nervous because there weren't offers coming in and she didn't know how long the gig on Suits would last. The article continues. Whenever Harry visited set, he was always super polite and friendly, a crew member tells People, but it was clear he wanted this to be Meghan's moment to shine. I feel like anytime Harry and Meghan are together, he's making it Meghan's moment to shine. Well, he's not making it, but she claws her way to the front to make it all about her. So this is kind of a strange little tidbit to add in there. Maybe they're trying to explain away before people start criticizing why Harry is not so present in the filming. Yeah, we'll find out when we start seeing the reviews of With Love, Megan. Before we continue, I want to come back to this thing about how this article seems to be crafting an image of Megan as someone who's faced intense scrutiny and has grown through it. This constant reference to how hard she works, how much she has overcome, and how much grace she has received, it's almost self-congratulatory rather than genuinely reflective. It's incredibly superficial, and she is trying to, garner sympathy for her. She was also doing this during the 2022 mockumentary that came out. The article continues, and there's a subheading here. It says, Returning to Her Roots. Megan's 8-episode lifestyle show sees her cooking, crafting, and gardening with friends and chefs while sharing personal stories and recipes, a natural extension of her pre royal life. In 2014, while filming Suits in Toronto, she launched The Tig, a blog on food, travel, and wellness, years ahead of the influencer boom. But as her relationship with Harry deepened, she shut it down in 2017 and later deleted her Instagram before joining royal life. How hard was it to let go? Well, I love the Tig, but I certainly love my husband more, she says. So that was a choice I made at the time, so I wouldn't change that for a second. Harry is now loving watching Meghan step back into her creative groove. My husband met me when I had the Tig, and I see this spark in his eye when he sees me doing the thing that I was doing when he first met me, she says. Even though the activities on her new show feel familiar to Meghan's longtime followers, the filming pushed her beyond the comfort zone she knew from her 7 seasons on Suits. I feel like this is a little bit manipulative messaging, right? I certainly love my husband more. Of course you do, right? I mean, that's kind of obvious. Okay, let's pause here and talk about this a little bit. Megan's roots weren't exactly that successful, allegedly. The Tig was a relatively small blog, it wasn't an empire, and she's talking here about getting back into her groove. This whole thing completely contradicts the narrative she and Harry had when they were leaving the royal family and how they were talking about using their platforms and how they were talking about using their platform for social change. I feel like maybe this could be an admission that Meghan was never suited for that activist heavy role. And then the way Harry is described here, it's almost like he's a passive cheerleader. The wording implies that he's more of an onlooker rather than an active partner in this new phrase. It subtly reinforces the idea that Harry's presence in the spotlight may be diminishing while Meghan is taking the lead. And it seems like this Sussex PR machine wants us to believe that this is actually something Harry wants. He prefers this dynamic. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, we did see when they were at Invictus, when Meghan was moving the camera onto Harry, he did not look very happy. And ultimately, their Netflix mockumentary and their Spotify deals and everything that they've done since 2020 did not have the lasting success they hoped for. So I think this whole rebrand into lifestyle and warmth is Megan trying to get into a less controversial space. And this might be why it feels so disingenuous to all of us. The article continues. I was never really in front of the camera like this, she says, reflecting on the legal drama, which became one of Netflix's most streamed shows in 2023. She adds, it's a time capsule for me. I still have the pencil skirt from the first episode. That's the one thing I kept. She remains close to co stars like Abigail Spencer and excited to see the upcoming Suits LA on Peacock. I love that it gets a new breath of fresh air. I don't believe this statement that she's making. I was never really in front of the camera like this. She was literally an actress for years. She spent 7 seasons playing Rachel Zane. Her entire job as an actress was to be filmed, memorizing lines and portraying a character. And then after that, she did the Harry and Meghan mockumentary, where she spoke directly to the camera about her emotion struggles and life behind the scenes. She's filmed herself crying on her phone. And that's a pretty personal thing to do, being in front of the camera and, showing what you feel in quotation marks. So it seems to me that maybe she's trying to distance herself from her past as an actress to make this show seem like a new authentic chapter. And maybe that's why she's emphasizing Suits LA and creating distance between herself and that. So perhaps this is all being said here to separate Meghan Markle, the actress from Suits, from Meghan, the Duchess, the lifestyle creator. The article continues. Her new show isn't a traditional stand and stir format, an industry term Megan learned during filming to describe most cooking shows. It feels as though we're just spending time together, which is what it ended up being. She says of the crew's presence on the series, I'd make a recipe and say, everyone try this. And there are certain dishes where you just watch everyone flock in. I'd say, we've run out of spoons. It ended up feeling so communal, and that's the spirit of the show. So, you guys, as soon as I saw flock in, I thought of RHR Jen. I wonder if this is a shout out to Jen. So, yeah, Jen, I think she's shouting you out. It's hilarious. The article continues as director Michael Steed, who previously worked on the Emmy winning series Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown. Everyone has this one version of her, but she's just someone who is hustling and working and doing. I genuinely wanted to create an environment where she could relax, and I know the pressures of what she deals with on a daily basis. I was happy that we created scenes where she could tap into that part of her life. I mean, these are just filler words to me, right? None of these people that are involved in the production of this show are going to say anything negative about Megan, at least right now. They want the show to be a success. So they're not going to give away any stressful things, in my opinion. So it's not surprising to me that we're only hearing positive things right now, especially from the director. Also, Megan, your dad is also an Emmy Award winner. So just so you know. The article continues, along with featuring her domestic skills with Love, Megan also highlights her own product line, which will be available on asever.com. Megan has hinted that her signature jam will be among the offerings set to launch this spring. Also launching this spring, her new podcast with Lemonada. She's back on Instagram too for the first time in years. When I was last on social media, boomerang was the thing, she says, laughing. Instagram stories didn't even exist, so it's been a minute. Yeah, and there was also the dog filter on Snapchat. So that was how long ago you were on. The name As Ever, it takes me a second to see it like that. Like I said it in a previous video, to me it looks like a sever. Like I don't know. So yeah, we know that basically we can consider with Love Megan what would you call it? Like an infomercial to set up her own product line. Like all of this is a business venture. She's trying to generate revenue. And in my opinion, I think they're struggling. And that's why Megan right now is actually hustling. She hasn't hustled, in my opinion, in the last 5 years. And you could also make the argument that maybe she also didn't hustle when she was in the royal family either. The article continues despite the intense focus of her return to Instagram, where her 2 million followers analyze everything from her outfits to the plates she uses, Megan doesn't identify as an influencer. I see myself as an entrepreneur and a female founder, she says. And if the brand ends up influential, then that's great. Okay, we know that a lot of that 2 million followers allegedly are bots. I think just recently it was shown that only about 250,000 are actual active accounts on Instagram. And it's weird that she's emphasizing this not an influencer, but she's launching a lifestyle brand on Instagram. The entire structure of her brand is built on influencing. She emphasizes aesthetic details. Her Instagram, she's using personal storytelling to market her products. The rejected the rejection of the influencer label is strategic. It distances her from the often dismissed influencer culture while still benefiting from it. She wants to be seen as a serious entrepreneur rather than a social media personality selling jams and plates. And I've mentioned this before, but narcissists want or they have a really tight control on how they're being perceived. So, this is Megan telling you exactly what she wants you to think of her as. Can you imagine that? She's even trying to control your perception of her. Stop controlling me, Megan. You can't make me think things. You can't. I have my own independent mind. The article continues, and although the show paints a picture of domestic bliss with Megan slow cooking berries from her garden, she doesn't consider herself a trad wife, shorthand for traditional wife, either. I like being able to do a hybrid, she says. Chinese food delivery is a favorite, but even when I get takeout, I will try to plate it beautifully, says Megan. She encourages others to strive for balance, not perfection, despite her show's beautiful imagery. The series is about doing what you can do, she says, and doing it with love. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about everything that's being said here. So she's saying to not strive for perfection, but at the same time she's saying when she gets Chinese food, she'll plate it beautifully. And if you're ordering delivery or takeout, wouldn't the balance be to eat it out of the box because or out of the container that it came in because you ordered it because you're tired, so you're achieving balance? I mean, I don't know, these are my thoughts. It's just kind of a really weird statement to make. It's almost trying to say that she does believe in balance, and then she also does these beautiful things. It's incongruent. And then highlighting this thing about not being a traditional wife. It's strange because the entire tone of this article seems to push an image of domestic perfection, gardening, making jam, beautifully plating takeout, and we'll get into it, but then she'll talk about some play dates that she's hosting. This contradiction highlights the ongoing identity struggle in her branding. She doesn't want to be pigeonholed into a role, but she still wants to appeal to audiences who romanticize the idea of a stylish, successful woman who does it all. By trying to maintain this hybrid identity, I think she's trying to be everything at once: modern yet traditional, independent yet devoted to family, entrepreneur but not an influencer. And I mean, if we go a little bit deeper, Duchess but not part of the royal family, right? She still was mentioning earlier in the article how important and significant that title is for her. And all of this lacks authenticity because it's trying to please too many people at once. And we all see through it. It just doesn't fit right. The article continues. That outlook was first noticed by a friend who visited the set and came up with the name of the show. Their takeaway was they were so happy to see me as myself, Megan says. She said, "It's like your love letter to all the things you've loved to do. And if you're signing off a love letter, it's with love, Megan. It felt right. And I love that my friend helped create it." Receiving that kind of feedback from her friends who have quietly supported her through the challenges of recent years has been meaningful for Megan. "You have to imagine my friends' experience through the past few years," she says. "They spent all this time with me at home and at their houses or out at dinners. For them to see who they know to be reflected on screen, it brought them a lot of joy." I mean, we're consistently seeing Megan say, "This is going to be the real me. This is going to be the real me." The Oprah was going to be her real story, her true identity. The Netflix mockumentary, "This is the truth." And in Archetypes, you were going to see her for who she actually is. And I think every time she has this new identity and she tries to sell it with people because it's not truly who she is, because I think she doesn't have a genuine identity, people criticize her. And so she has to try to come up with a new identity. And I mean, we're only a couple of hours away. We're going to see. Will it be reflected on screen? Will it look like she's genuine? Based on the trailers that we've seen and the what are those called where they keep dropping the short little videos, but none of that seems genuine to me. Well, except that one moment where she gave the dirty look to Roy Choi when he talks about his music preferences. Okay, the article continues and it starts with another heading, and this says Her Private World in Montecito. The Montecito community, who have gotten to know her from school drop offs and play dates with Archie and Lily, have become essential. This article is really pushing that, isn't it? Yeah, this home life. And it makes sense that they would because that's the point of the show, right? So it just goes to show you how Megan will shift herself to whatever is the best for her at the time. The article continues. We hosted a little camp because winter break was long, she says with a laugh. We had several days with different families at our home, and we were able to get to know the parents better, and all the kids could play. Megan and Harry set up obstacle courses and face painting. It's a dream, she says, but I also know that being part of a community means you put effort into it. In the process, Megan says Montecito has become protective of the Sussexes. Once you know, once you know us, I think you want us to have the same normalcy as parents and for our children as they do, despite however unique our situation is. For Megan, normal looks like nights out with Harry and pals. We go to a lot of dinners and not just in people's homes or private rooms. We just go into the restaurant. I really love that we can just have fun. This actually proves to you that anytime she is captured, it's because she called the paps. Because if she's saying they go out to a lot of dinners, we haven't seen that. The only time we've seen that is when Backward's been called. So Megan just outed herself, I think. That little winter break thing is also kind of coming up because Harry was gone a lot, right? Like his birthday was September 15 and we hadn't really seen him. Like he had kind of disappeared. I think maybe we saw him in Chicago at some point after he went to New York and the Well Child Awards, and then I think he did something with Senabali. Sorry if my memory is mistaken on that. I do believe this sentence that she's saying that the neighbors try to give them normalcy. I think this could explain why we haven't seen so many pictures of the children out and about because no matter what you think about Harry and Meghan, these are still children. And I mean, at least if it was me, I would want the children's privacy to be protected, like if I was one of their neighbors. The strange thing is this whole thing of describing the Montecito community as being protective because they have that one neighbor who I think was a journalist at some point, and he went on that German documentary, I think it was, and talked negatively about them. There were several articles that were written about his account of Harry and Meghan, and then he himself in like the Montecito Journal said some negative stuff about Harry and Meghan and how they're not really involved in the community. So this statement, putting this statement here, I think is a PR move to counteract these narratives. And again, what we're seeing here is this narrative to try to show Megan or reinforce Megan as an engaged, hands on mother who fosters a close knit family environment. We've never seen her actually stress this before. The article continues. Her friendships with other moms have grown beyond school ties into deeper connections. I have a couple of girlfriends up here. These are stay at home moms and working women with normal jobs, not in the public eye, she explains. We went from just connecting through our kids to having girls' night out or doing Pilates together. Again, we haven't seen these girls' nights out because probably Megan didn't call Backgrid. Or no, not probably. She didn't call Backgrid. If it's true, she may also be making this up. The article continues. One confidant recalls how they first connected when Archie and her daughter became fast friends at school. Megan reached out with a voicemail inviting her to a play date. You can see that as a unit, the friend says of the Sussexes. They're all very connected. After her son's recent surgery, the friend recalls, Megan sent a bouquet of balloons and a stuffed octopus from Archie and Lily with a handwritten note that said, We thought you could use a hug with 8 arms. So we went from a daughter to a son, right? We see this confidant has a daughter who became fast friends and then a son that had surgery. So I wonder, I mean, maybe this is someone that has two children, a daughter and a son. It's just wanted to point that out, and that is a very sweet gesture if it's true. However, what's the motivation behind it if it's true? In my opinion, Megan doesn't do anything unless it benefits her. So the article continues, and when Megan was invited to her low-key birthday party at home, she showed up despite not knowing anyone else and chatted with the other women about mom stuff and life, says the pal. It was just fun and natural. She was very comfortable just chilling. Megan embraces life in her community, whether solo or with friends. I go to yoga classes that sometimes have 40 to 50 people in them and just walk in like, "Hi," she says, laughing. Of course, at the beginning, that felt like a lot. By the way, I think anybody walking into a yoga class with 50 people and everyone looks up is going to feel a little uncomfortable. But now I love it. It's the best. I had missed it. What is she talking about? It's so strange to me that the most basic things that Megan does, people try to emphasize. Like, this woman is saying, "Oh my gosh, she showed up to my birthday party even though she didn't know anybody." Isn't that what friends do? The article continues, the family's sprawling estate is their sanctuary, which is why Megan chose to film her show in a nearby rental that echoes their own space. I wanted to protect that safe haven, she explains. We're a close knit family, and I love these moments putting Lily down for a nap, having lunch together, having sacred time together at the end of the day. Our kitchen is where Mama just cooks for the family, and with a crew of 80 plus people, that's a lot of people to have in your house. This whole thing was put in here to address the criticism that she's gotten about how it doesn't look genuine that she filmed somewhere else. But saying this achieves two things. She's explaining why she didn't film in her home, and then she's also explaining her close knit family and how beautiful life is in their home. The article continues, the show also gives Megan a chance to put her kid friendly meals to the test. I'm up before my kids are, so I'm normally up at 6:30, and then I get them up and dressed for the day, and we go downstairs. I love making breakfast for my family. Trying to push this, I'm ordinary, I'm just like everybody else, I'm normal. The article continues, my husband and Archie both love fried eggs. She says there's a lot of bacon around here, and then sometimes you don't have time for all that, and you just put a frozen waffle in the toaster and call it a day. And there's no shame in that either. Not surprisingly, Megan identifies food as one of her love language even before you know what, I'm going to stop here. First of all, this is very boring. I'm I'm bored. I'm sorry that this video has turned out to be so long. It's just repeating the same theme over and over and over again. This is dull and boring. And we get it, Megan. You're trying to tell us that you have this beautiful family, you have this beautiful community, and you're just saying it. We haven't actually seen proof of that, allegedly. Well, I haven't seen proof of that, and that's not allegedly. I haven't. And again, notice my husband, he has a name, Megan. You've reduced him so that his only significance is that he's your husband. He's H. He's has. I don't even know if you say has anymore. Has become too long to say, so now you just say H. Anyways, I'm going to continue. Even before I was a mom, I love being able to nurture in that way. She says some of my favorite childhood moments are the meals that my mom would make. She'd make a lot of soul food. I remember she'd taken a Thai cooking class, so every week we had Thai barbecue chicken and spring rolls. I remember those flavors so well, and I want my kids to have those same formative memories of things that I cook. We call them mama meals, and those are the ones that I hope they come back to when they're older, when they're married, and they have their own kids, and they go, "Oh, let's have a mama meal." And it's the same roast chicken I've been making since they were little. Oh, again with the roast chicken. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but food is not a loving love language, but creating food is an act of service. So maybe an act of service is her love language, but I don't see how that can be true because I haven't seen her do an actual act of service. And we already know she's erased her dad completely from the narrative. So of course she had to tell a story about her mom. You know what would fit in this article is talking about her dad being a working father and still managing to have meals with him, but she doesn't do that. She's not appealing to that. The article continues, building a legacy is the subheading here. While she may not have filmed inside their home, she found ways to incorporate home life into the show, filming in their chicken coop, garden, and orchard. Archie did the filming clapboard, sweet moments, she says. They would also come with my husband and visit me on set, and I love that my children were able to watch me working and see the balance of that and understand what mama does and is working to create and share. It was really special because up until then, they hadn't seen me work. Okay, just exactly what I was saying earlier. She used to watch her dad work. We've heard that before. There would be a great insight to put in here. And this goes to show you also that the children will be shown, I think, or, there's stronger evidence now that the children may be shown. A theory that Nancy and Stephanie Sidley mentioned quite a while ago. And I really think they're right. The article continues, the crew member recalls how Archie and Lily would run up to Megan on set. She was super attentive and doting on them. We would give them headphones so they could listen to audio. That's Megan. I hope that when they get old enough, they feel really proud that they were part of the beginning of this with me. The landing page of asever.com features a photo of Megan and Lily hand in hand in their backyard surrounded by trees. Having her daughter on the site was especially meaningful for Megan. Okay, you guys, I'm bored. I'm seriously tired of this article. It's so long and I still have like 3 more slides to do. And I'm sorry that I'm complaining, but my throat hurts. I talk too much. This isn't word salad. It's the same thing over and over again. Drop it in the comments if you feel the same way as I do. The article continues, being able to have my own little girl as I've spent so much of my life championing the rights of girls and women, and to be able to see this as a multi generational story. Archie is, of course, included in that. My husband is, of course, included in that, but I love the heritage feeling of it. And knowing this is something that I can create in front of my daughter and teach her what it's like to be a working mom, she says this is something that hopefully can be part of her legacy too. Okay, so she also has to remind us that she is a philanthropist. And, this might be being said here because we've heard rumblings that she's going to at least mention or do an episode, I'm not sure, about the work she did during the LA fires. And I'm using the term work very loosely. What she did was trespass on the homes of people of the remains of people's homes. It was a disgusting thing to do. Absolutely disgusting. It's in the top 5 worst things she's ever done, and you know what? I'm too tired to get into it right now. This article has worn me out. Okay, let's finish it. Two more sections. Okay, life in Montecito has settled into a comfortable rhythm for Megan and Harry. When she's not filming, afternoons are marked by what they lovingly call day dates, where they share a quiet lunch together. In true parent fashion, the evenings include nightcap recaps, unwinding with a drink as they chat about their day and make lunch boxes. I think all parents in this phase with kids the same age know it's rinse and repeat. She says, if there's time, they'll catch up on TV together. We love shrinking. We just finished Black Doves and we're excited for the new season of The White Lotus. Oh my gosh, it's so boring. Yeah, so what she's describing here actually reminds me of a Seinfeld episode where Jerry's talking to Kramer and saying something along the lines of maybe it's time to get married. And Kramer does this impression of what married life is actually like. I'm going to try to put the clip in here. So I apologize if I'm not able to do it. But Kramer says something along the lines of, well, how are you doing, dear? How are you doing, dear? And it makes marriage seem so um, repeat and over again, rinse and repeat, like Megan is saying here. Oh my gosh. Just as a reminder, a couple of months ago, um, Prince William was quoted as saying that he and Catherine, Princess of Wales, love watching Black Dove. So just a little tidbit there. And finally, guys, we made it. This is the end. Oh my gosh, Megan, thank you for finishing this because you talk too much. Okay, it says, reflecting on the past 5 years since their move, Megan acknowledges how much is different. 5 years ago, Archie was only 8 or 9 months old, so my life has changed so much, she says, recounting her motherhood journey, welcoming a newborn, being pregnant while raising a toddler, and now raising both Archie and Lily. Anyone who has children will tell you it's a huge evolution as a woman during that time. As she looks ahead to the next 5 or even 10 years, she's open to what's to come. Can you imagine? This is just the beginning. Life is full of surprises, she says. And oh my gosh, in 10 years, Archie will be driving. Oh, thank you for finishing that. Okay, guys, I was exhausted. That was incredibly boring. And let's do a quick analysis and kind of put it all together. So, in my opinion, this article is a masterclass in reputation management. Every detail, as long-winded as it was, served a purpose. It was to reinforce Megan's motherhood and entrepreneurship. It was to soften her image with a lifestyle brand. It's to distance herself from past royal drama while subtly keeping the Sussex brand alive. And it's interesting that she's trying to distance herself from royal drama, but she still says the Black Dove reference. And I'm not sure if she heard Prince William's interview or whatever when he said that, but I can assume she did. I would assume that she did the amount of time that I think she spends on social media, allegedly. And I think she was also trying to preemptively counter negative narratives about her marriage and failed projects and public perception. We saw that weaved throughout the entire article. So, this whole thing was overly curated, in my opinion. It makes it difficult to view her as genuinely authentic, just like everything else she does. The level of effort to appear effortless is glaring. And for those skeptical of her media antics, this comes across as yet another reinvention rather than a sincere reflection of her life. So I'm curious to know what you think about this. Please drop that in the comments. If this was interesting to you, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know whenever I drop a new video. I want to thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everyone.